All right, everybody. I am going to show you how to use your hot seat paper in order to properly use the steps for success and annotate tomato harvest and get the question correct. So here we go. First thing it says to do on the hot seat paper is to stop and watch this video over question 25, which you are doing right now. Congratulations. Then the next thing I notice it says that I need to reread tomato harvest, but not the whole thing yet, just stanza 6. So I'm gonna go back onto my paper right here where tomato harvest is. And before I read stanza 6, it would probably be helpful for me to preview this text and make sure that I have numbered the stanzas and I know which stanza I'm reading. So first and foremost, I'm going to write down what type of text this is just by looking at it. And I can tell that the genre of this text is a poem. So I'm going to write that this is a poem. Just based on how it looks, how it's organized, I can tell it's in stanzas and lines. So it's a poem. The next thing that I'm going to write down when I'm previewing is the point of view. If I just glance, I don't even need to read this. If I just glance at this first stanza, I can tell it says, right here, it says, what it was, I still don't know, that urged a 4th grade me to grow. So the speaker is obviously also the main character of the poem, so this is going to be in first person. Then, the next thing I need to do is actually number the stanzas, okay? The lines are pretty well numbered, so what I'm going to do right now is just go through and number the stanzas. So I have stanza 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 down here, okay? Now, I remembered that it told me to read stanza 6 in Tomato Harvest. So I'm going to go back, look at stanza 6, and reread it. It says, those losses made my harvest small. 1 bucket full of fruit was all. But when I picked my first and tried it, what sweetness and pride I found inside it. Then, I'm not actually doing this part yet, okay? So I'm moving on to the annotations. It says underline line 24 in stanza 6. Okay, well, if I go back and look at what I just read, this is line 20, so 21, 22, 23, and 24 right here. This is what I need to underline. What sweetness and pride I found inside it, okay? So once I've underlined that line, let me go back and look and see. It says, oh, use this stem. That's an indicator that I know I need to actually go back into the text and write this down and finish it on my own before I even look at these answer choices. So I'm going to go back to stanza 6, and I'm going to write down that the speaker says that he found sweetness and pride in his first tomato to show. And if I'm just filling this in on my own first, I know that sweetness obviously means like it must, taste sweet, but it also could mean that maybe it feels sweet to have grown this own tomato. And then here's the indicator right here, this word, y'all, pride, okay? I know from my background knowledge, and if I didn't know, I would be Googling this word right now, but I know that pride means to be proud of something, to feel proud and accomplished. Usually you have pride when you've done something well or worked hard at something. So not only does he find sweetness in the tomato, but he finds pride in it. So I'm going to write that the speaker says that he found sweetness and pride in his first tomato to show he was proud of what he grew. He was proud of what he grew. He was proud of himself for growing that tomato. So now I can go back and I can look at my answer choices, okay? So it says that the speaker says that he found sweetness and pride in the first tomato to show A, he has worked hard to grow the tomatoes. Now, I just wrote that he was proud of what he grew. So this is a very possible answer. I'm going to mark it, but I got to read the rest of them. B says that the speaker says that he found sweetness and pride in the first tomato to show he has planted a very sweet tasting variety of tomato. Now remember, we just talked about that. That maybe is what sweetness means, but then you're leaving out the part where he talks about pride as well. So B is definitely out. B is out, everybody. Okay, let's look at C. Tomatoes are his favorite food to eat. Now, just because he says that he found sweetness and pride in it doesn't mean that they're his favorite food, okay? That's kind of a jump. So C is out. And then D says that he knows the next tomato will not taste as good. The next tomato will not taste as good. What? And he said he found sweetness and pride in it, and the next tomato's not going to taste as good? That doesn't even make sense, ladies and gentlemen, and they and them. Okay, so D is out, and we are left with my correct answer choice, which is A. Now, I know A is correct because I did all that work beforehand on my poem. However, to prove to my teacher that it's correct, I'm going to go back and I'm going to give her some text evidence just to make it even more obvious that my answer is right. So I'm going to go back, and y'all, you can do this one of two ways. I'm going to give you both ways, and you can choose, okay? I'm going to write a few words that support my answer from the poem, but I'm also going to show you that I could also write a stanza number and a line number from the poem that could support my answer as well, okay? So I'm showing you both strategies on text evidence for right now. You can choose one or the other, okay? Text evidence for this. I know that he worked hard for his tomatoes, so I'm going to find evidence in this text that shows that he actually worked hard to grow these tomatoes, okay? Let's see. He says right here that I watered and weeded those seedlings of mine, okay? So he's over there spending time taking out the weeds around the tomatoes and watering the tomatoes, and he's watching for pests, okay? So I'm actually going to use these words in the stanza to show that he worked hard to grow his tomatoes, okay? And that's why he found pride in them. So I'm going to write down the words watered and weeded, as well as when he says he watched for pests, okay? That's one type of text evidence. Here's a faster type of text evidence. I could just go, all right, I found that evidence in stanza 4, and this is lines 14 and 13. So 13 and 14 in lines 13 and 14 in stanza 4. So all I'm going to write for my text evidence right here is stanza 13. No. Sorry, y'all. Stanza 4, lines 13 through 14. Okay? So that's kind of hard to see because my handwriting's awful. But this is, again, stanza 4, lines 13 and 14 were my text evidence. Okay? I gave you two options. Obviously, you don't need to do all this. You can either give me words to support your answer choice or stanza number and a line number to support your answer choice. Okay? Now, I know I got this right. So if I was doing this with my team, what you are going to do the next 2 questions over Tomato Harvest with your team, then I know that me and my team would be able to roll twice, both dice, because we got good text evidence and we got the answer choice right. Okay, now it's your turn. So I challenge you to do questions number 27. Nope. Question number 26 and question number 28 over Tomato Harvest with your team. Your teacher will be going around and checking your answers if you're doing the hot seat game. Good luck, everybody. You know what to do now. Go do it.